Tensions rise as Russia invades Ukraine, prompting a crucial question. Could this conflict spark World War III? While Western nations fear escalation and casualties, the urgent need to protect civilians and support Ukraine's independence calls for a paradigm shift. Join us to explore the delicate balance between intervention and peace, as the world holds its breath amidst the specter of a global catastrophe. Libertarian democracies are weary of war, disengagement, and withdrawal from conflicts, like those in Afghanistan, and limited interventions, like those in Syria, Libya, and Yemen, that saw Western forces reduce their reliance on ground forces in favor of airstrikes and support for other fighting forces, like the Saudis in Yemen and rebels in Syria, have served as examples of this. When Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, there were minimal repercussions for Russia, and it was obvious that Western countries would maintain a non-engagement stance as Russia prepared to invade the rest of Ukraine on February 24th. Western nations have imposed strict sanctions against Russia, and Ukrainian forces have been receiving weapons, equipment, and useful intelligence as a result. This has allowed them to use unanticipated force against Russian forces, fiercely rebuffing their invasion and resulting in the loss of thousands of tanks, other armored vehicles, rocket launchers, aircraft, and ships, as well as thousands of casualties. It has also been essential to use diplomatic means to maintain Russia's isolation. However, Russia's indiscriminate attacks against Ukrainian civilians, including the bombing of hospitals and schools and the use of gruesome weapons like white phosphorus and cluster bombs, should prompt the West to reevaluate its war engagement strategy and take a more active role by enforcing a no-fly zone or securing evacuation corridors, possibly even directly confronting Russian forces. The biggest worry is that any such escalation might start a third world war. This is implausible for two different reasons. The first is that, when compared to Western militaries, Russia has weak military capabilities. They have significant logistical, operational, and tactical challenges, and their soldiers' morale is low. Additionally, their forces' equipment and weapons are outdated and subpar. The fear that Russia may use nuclear weapons if NATO intervenes militarily has received the most attention as a justification. This is a real concern because Putin has reiterated Russia's right to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Although distinct from Cold War deterrence, nuclear deterrence is more likely to hold. Devastating repercussions could result from Russia using nuclear weapons, either against Ukraine or another NATO member state. Any nuclear weapon utilized is a strategic game changer, as then U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis stated in 2018, rejecting the idea that tactical nuclear weapons pose a smaller threat. To destroy Russian military capabilities and target those in positions of authority, NATO may target strategic Russian military positions and possibly even locations of political power as part of a strong response, which could put Putin's leadership in jeopardy. Because Putin's adversaries include multiple countries with sizable nuclear arsenals, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and France, a NATO response should be seen as a serious threat. National identity is also at the core of this struggle. Putin hasn't made any deliberate plans to use nuclear weapons and has no incentive to destroy a country that he wants to invade. One factor in the West's choice to leave Ukraine to fight on its own was fear of the bomb. Casualty sensitivity is a further factor that is essential to the West. Sensitivity to losses, particularly deaths among troops, has grown to be a key factor influencing how liberal democracies prepare for war, employ force, and decide whether to take part in conflicts. Contrary to the risk of escalation and the use of nuclear weapons, the risk of suffering casualties is considerable in the Ukrainian conflict. Given how ingrained aversion to fatalities has been, sending troops to battle Russia will require a significant paradigm shift in liberal countries. With this war, opinions toward war throughout Europe changed. Germans, who have been renowned pacifists since 1945, have undergone the biggest change and now favor military assistance to Ukraine, as well as a significant increase in funding for the restoration of Germany's military might. But given Russia's hostility, a more significant change is required. The West needs to stop worrying about little, unlikely threats and start using its overwhelming military might to support Ukraine in defending its independence. In the face of a potential global catastrophe, the world must tread carefully amidst Russia and Ukraine's conflict. Balancing fears of escalation with the urgency to protect civilians and safeguard Ukraine's independence is paramount. To stay informed on the unfolding events and their impact on global stability, subscribe to our channel for updates and analysis.